with the visual news that most Americans, most news viewers, most people with an internet connection have now seen. You're looking at it. Maybe you've absorbed it. Maybe you've discussed it. Unlike so many facts and stories and developments in our modern life, this is something we are all seeing together. It's an image we've seen, and Americans have seen it, I would argue, based on the information we have, even if many typically use different sources for media and information and have different ideas about what the big story of the day is or what they've heard or what's important. This unprecedented mugshot of the indicted former president, legally presumed innocent, has pierced the filter bubbles and often polarized experiences of our era. Just about everyone, I think, has seen what is now an indelible, permanent part of the history and the reality of this defendant / former president, Donald Trump. You are looking at both news, and we can say, we think, even with intellectual humility tonight, you are looking at history in the making. The mugshot of this RICO defendant who repeatedly tried to overturn and steal the election. That fact is not in doubt. Whether that fact became a crime, did it go beyond talking about it, musing about it, thinking about it? Did it go into criminal territory of stealing the election? That is what will ultimately be adjudicated. This is a big deal. To the Fulton County court system, I can tell you this defendant is now not just so much an ex-president, although he was treated with certain legal measures that reflect that, like having his guards with him, as he legally may. But he is, according to Georgia, this identification number, P011358809. That is in the court documents, which are public record for him and any other defendant, along with his $200,000 bond on which he was released. This is significant and one of those nights where we want to make sure to reflect how it is playing out, not only in our country, but around the world, a historic spectacle. An instant American artifact, another article says. The Post reports that the image gives everyone this immediate moment for the public debate. You can view the mugshot, you can view this defendant and his facial expression, which was a clearly practiced choice, as potentially a hero or a showman or a, quote, scoundrel. That debate may rage on. There is no major debate that this mugshot image, like the others of the co-defendants we started to get this week, this matters. It reflects something real, and it is here to stay. The Washington Post says it's a mugshot seen around the world. The Times reports a mugshot for history, an instantly iconic photo that also is, as the Wall Street Journal reports, an immediate hit product. The Journal, of course, is the business press, and we would be remiss not to mention that they report Trump's mugshot, a presidential first, is also, as a business story, a merch bonanza. The often staid Associated Press captures all of this with a succinct headline: one image, one face, one American moment, the Trump mugshot. And the reporting here I wanted to share with you from the AP, which again is assiduously nonpartisan, but understands the significance of this, not whether you like or dislike the face on your screen, not whether you think he's guilty or not, which is ultimately up to a jury, but what this means. Quote, a mugshot is a visceral representation of the criminal justice system, a symbol of lost freedom. It permanently memorializes one of the worst days of a person's life, a moment not meant for a scrapbook. End quote. I got to tell you something as we go through this together and we try to report on the facts here, and our team goes through all of this with you. When you look at something like this and you read what the AP says, it almost sounds obvious. Duh, mugshot bad. And yet, I refer to the polarized environment. You have people who, because of their political views or because of the habit of trolling and lying about everything, are actually, with a straight face, trying to say that this somehow will be either nothing or a positive for the defendant. That's not true. Legally, he's still presumed innocent, and getting booked in a mugshot, as we reported earlier this week when we went through other examples, including Democrat John Edwards, El Chapo, Gotti, getting booked alone doesn't mean you're guilty. I say that for context because Trump is trying to claim the image as his own. You can say, oh, a grifter is going to sell anything, but the choice to put this dark day, as the AP called it, on your own fundraising merchandise is extreme by any measure. And so they're doing that. I'm not necessarily going to show you all that tonight, but I'm mentioning it. But then Trump's own comments after the booking also reveal a man who seemed, in some sense, affected or rattled by the experience.
Terrible experience. I came in, I was treated very nicely, but it is what it is. I took a mugshot, which I never heard the words mugshot. Didn't teach me that at the Wharton School of Finance. I went through an experience today that I never thought I'd have to go through.
Let's take him at his word there. We do fact checks, we do context, but as Donald Trump has so often proven to be, the Washington Post said he's lied more than any other public government figure, and they track that. And yet right there, you heard a kind of a blurted truth. The Watergate prosecutor Nick Ackerman standing by. I'm definitely going to ask him about that and how it relates to other defendants, other people booked, because it was almost like this person who's been caught lying so much had to actually cough up his feeling about how it went, that it's not fun. You can sell the merch. You can have some other staffer write an email where you claim to be just, bring on the indictments, but then you heard it in his own voice. We can also tell you Trump said it's not a, quote, comfortable feeling to get that shot. That was in a new Fox News interview. Defendant Trump went down to Georgia yesterday because he had to. In fact, Rachel Maddow and our team was discussing this just last night during the special coverage, that for all the bluster and the attacks on the prosecutors, what that physically represents, what the mugshot shows, is their power on behalf of the government and the people, which this defendant surrendered to. That's happened at the state level yesterday and the federal level before that. That's a good thing because this is a nation of laws. It's not a good thing if you just want schadenfreude or to be trolling or negative about someone that you have a disagreement with. Indeed, it's a free country. You can feel whatever you want. But as a system of justice, we do not want the criminal justice system to be some sort of effort at score settling or humiliation, quite the opposite. But right now, what he has subjected himself to shows who's in charge. It's not the defendants. One by one, the rest of his co-defendants filed into court for that processing. 19 have turned themselves in. One remains in jail trying to work out a bond deal. The DA never needed to issue any of the warrants as threatened because nobody wanted to go down that game of losing chicken with the prosecutor. Now, some of these individuals are basically fighting, some saying they should be tried in a different courtroom in federal court, which is fine. They can argue that, and we'll get that worked out in the courts. Some maintain their innocence. Some are demanding a speedy trial. Each one of these individuals is presumed innocent and entitled and afforded those rights to pursue what they think is their best option, whether that is full defense or a plea or something else. Now, some are blaming Donald Trump with their public words, and we have more on that coming up this hour. But you are looking at, if you take it together, the indicted RICO criminal conspiracy. These are the top people, starting with the booked defendant in the upper left, Donald Trump, and the booked lawyer, former RICO prosecutor Giuliani, and the booked coup memo author John Eastman, and the booked lawyer Kenneth Chesebro, and many other lawyers below him. These are people that are indicted on a criminal conspiracy of racketeering to overturn an election. So they are both indicted for that, which means the system has already established enough evidence to get to this point, to get these mugshots, to get these bookings, but they are also legally presumed innocent because to get to the next point of conviction is a much higher burden of proof. That burden solely on the government of Georgia, solely on the prosecutors, not on these individuals. This is a big deal no matter how you slice it. Go around the world, and we've seen already some of the international coverage pouring in, different languages, different places, a big deal for this defendant, a big deal for America, and that's why we begin tonight with what comes next, a big deal for this process, for this defendant, for this moment. And I say this with all sincerity, I really mean this. That involves our country, our society, you, because you watch the news, you presumably care, doing this in good faith together at a time when so many people operate in bad faith. Good faith means, yes, a search for justice and accountability. They tried to end our democracy, steal your vote, turn this into an authoritarian country. So you see why people care about that accountability. We've already had seditionists convicted. But it also means respecting this. That the person on your screen, whatever you think of him, his politics, or even the face he made, is legally presumed innocent. This is a process of evidence, not hate or emotion. And if he is ultimately acquitted in this or other cases, then we, as a society, must respect that outcome as well.